Labiaplasty versus labia stretching, which is preferable? Brought to you by the leading ED treatment for excessive dishonesty and delusion. Labiaplasty is the new fad in cosmetic surgery with huge profit margins for the doctors who perform them. The primary reason for the surgery is the perception of a more attractive vulva. Far less common are perceived medical problems of lack of sexual pleasure or discomfort wearing excessively tight clothing that may show a woman's vulva in what is commonly called a camel toe. Medical evidence suggests that the labia minora have a range of important functions. Larger labia minora are typically advantageous in all of these respects. Most of the so-called valid reasons cited for labiaplasty are due to nothing more than cognitive distortions. Although cognitive distortions seem absolutely real to the person, they are not the actual cause of the problem. In many cases, the actual cause of dry, painful, or difficult sex is psychological, not physical. However, most people prefer a physical explanation for their medical problems. Children raised in puritanical religious cultures perceive their genitals as their worst body part. But children in non-puritanical cultures express the exact opposite attitude, claiming their genitals are their favorite body part. In much of Africa, and parts of Asia and the Pacific, girls were taught, often at a very young age, to stretch their labia minora to be more beautiful and to have greater sexual satisfaction. Most of these women report having great sexual pleasure, are proud of their genitals, and have a high self-esteem of their bodies. Most men who have had sexual partners taught to do this affirm these findings, especially in comparison to women in Western cultures, although their reports are not scientific. Puritanical religious missionaries have taught sexual repression of these practices and have successfully lobbied to outlaw labia pulling, but have done nothing to curtail surgical male genital mutilation, as it is viewed as a parental religious right to perform on their children. The labia minora have a number of important roles. When a woman is not sexually aroused, the labia minora close together, protecting their inner mucous membrane and closing off the vaginal entrance. While some Western women mistakenly perceive that they could interfere with sex, such would only occur if the woman is not sufficiently aroused or has moments of vaginismus due to sexual repression. In addition to their role as a physical shield, the labia secrete antibacterial substances as a defense against infection. It appears that the majority of men over 18 find the labia minora very sexy, and this would have been a cue for a man to want sex, as swollen labia are a signal of female arousal, which often occurs during ovulation. The visual appeal includes the natural color variation, like petals on a flower. The labia minora are rich in nerve endings, and elongated labia minora have more of these nerve endings. Labiaplasty is cited as causing a reduction in pleasure-sensing nerves needed to enjoy sex. The labia minora help to lubricate sex and provide extra stimulation during intercourse, as they rub or wrap around a man's penis. Some women erroneously believe that because some pornographic photos show little to no labia minora, this is what men prefer. The fact is, government censors in some Western countries ban photos that show the labia minora, and some make it illegal to airbrush or Photoshop the mons pubis, as this combination may make the woman appear to be underage. In some countries, even if the model is proven to be over the age of 18, if she looks too young, she cannot be published. As always, the government is a servant to the prevailing puritanical religious groups in power. Very little is ever based on logical or objective validation. The notion that any government actually honors the separation of church and state is laughable. Token cases receive huge media attention to make it appear the government is recognizing civil liberties, but at a deeper tangible level this is a joke. No publisher today can market a photographic sex education book that actually shows the stages of genital maturation, much less labia pulling during childhood. However, all sorts of violence is made widely available to condition the masses to facilitate and glorify war, for the benefit of the elite. In any event, women compare themselves to other women for validation rather than using objective anthropological studies or reviewing clinical research reports. Labiaplasty has a strong possibility of making things biologically worse. However, to the extent the person believes it has cured them, it may work psychologically. The placebo effect is known to be very powerful. For example, many men claim that various concoctions will give them better erections, such as rhino horn, which is just hardened hair. These things work not by any physiological mechanism of action. They work if they temporarily negate psychological problems. So, which is better? Labiaplasty, labia is stretching, or leaving your labia the way they are. The more you educate yourself, the more you understand the truth, and the more you realize you have been lied to by the very culture you were raised in. Please note the following disclaimer: this video is not medical opinion, is not a substitute for medical advice, and is not intended to diagnose or treat any medical condition. Before undergoing any treatment or surgical intervention, one should research clinical articles on all aspects of the condition. Many websites posted by physicians are advertisements that minimize the risks and emphasize the purported benefits of treatment. This commentary is for discussion purposes only.